Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Sheila Murray, and thank you so much for joining me for our second session of integrating the spirals. I will share my screen and we will do a little review of what we learned last Sunday, and then we'll get right into the new stuff for session 2, okay? Share my screen. Let's yeah. Get it to play. All right. I did add a couple of new screens as well. After I finished last week, I realized that there was a little bit more that I could add and perhaps clarify in session 1. So I'll point those out as I go through the refresher. In case you haven't seen session 1's video yet, if you're a speed reader or a speed watcher, and you soak information in quickly, this refresher may be enough for you. Otherwise, if you want more, go back and check out session 1. So to begin with, integrating the spirals is a philosophy, a concept. It's all about a group of spiral lessons or life lessons that have to do with following the path, the loosey-goosey flow of the spiral path instead of a box, instead of something rigid. It's pretty much a natural flow because the spiral's found all through nature and in the universe. So it's multi-directional. Even the broken pieces and caustic elements form the whole. Think about the yin and yang symbol. Think about a yin and yang that is living, that's breathing, that's come to life. You have the dark side, the light side, and that is pulsing. Everything ebbs and flows. Just trying to catch you up to where we are now. And shocker, the whole is ever living, ever emanating, ever evolving. So think expanding consciousness. You carry the essence of the whole inside of you, and you are a fractal of living omniscience, and you wear it well. So why use this process? And I won't hit every bullet point again because we do have all of that covered in session 1, but just to quickly review, if you've bought things in the past, which I asked you in the prerequisites to put aside, put in a folder on your computer desktop or in a tote, if they're physical books and programs and things that you've bought, CD, DVD programs and things like that, just put them all away that first week. So if you've lost interest in any of those things, or you felt like you didn't have the time to incorporate them in, that's really why I codified this program or deprogram, so that we could get out of the programmed mindset of the shiny object syndrome, getting stuck, and not having clarity about our priorities and things like that, and really just look to this as a very gentle and natural way to one at a time incorporate these things in. Now we can stack habits, but it's still a one at a time process of asking yourself, is this really what's in your best good right now, for your highest and best right now? And then you can bring it in. So if you've lost interest in a previous program, a book, or the lessons didn't suit your needs, that's what this deprogram is going to help you kind of weed through, clear out, and refresh and renew your mind about whether you even want to pull those things back out and use them, or just go ahead and gift them to somebody, but we want to clear the mind and clear out that mind chatter that often happens when we feel like we've bought all these things and we've and it kind of becomes overwhelming of what we're using and why we're using it, or if we even want to use it anymore. So if you found another program difficult, activities too difficult, or just plain didn't have the time because you're busy with work, family, life responsibilities, that's one reason to use this process, because you can then deprogram yourself of those negative thoughts or those heavier thoughts, and just bring back out the things that really will suit you and incorporate them daily into your life. This is a process for helping you do that. Okay, so integrating the spirals is unique. All those other programs, they programmed you, or that was the intention of them. This one is, the intention is to deprogram you, so that, again, we want to clear out, we want to release, we want to clear, we want to free up space between the 6 inches between your ears. So this is a loose, wiggly, fluid framework that you design. You get to design how you bring those things back in, which ones you bring in, if you bring them in, all of that. So again, this is based on nature. It's based on the spiral pattern and flow of nature, and thus it's nourishing. It's supporting you in a gentle way. And I invite you to have fun with this. Take your time with this. And then as you grow, just like a plant, just like a flower outside in nature, you can grow in wild and unimaginable ways. So integrating the spiral helps. And this is new. A couple new thoughts here. You organize your thoughts in this manner. You can organize your writing in this manner. I have a whole blog post on that as a sample and an example of how you can take your writing notes, write them out on 3.5 by 5 cards, and literally lay them out on the floor, a table, or your bed in a spiral fashion. This also really helps you if you've got writer's block, or if you're struggling because in your mind that you have kind of your writing notes in a jumble and you're not even sure how to organize them. So you can start getting that knot of a bundle of thoughts. You can kind of start untangling those with this process. So you can incorporate new and positive habits with ease. Also using this methodology or philosophy, release the struggle, release the judgment. And this is in particular, it's very useful for familial relationships. So if you're having issues, you're at odds with either family or friends, this can help nourish your familiar or friendly relationships, because you will be less judgmental at the end of it. It can help those of you who have lost the people in your physical presence over the last few years, help you ease loneliness, and encourage you and invite you to build relationships across multiple timelines and dimensions. And for me, my family is far away from me, so I've experienced the loss as well as the distance with the ones whom I love dear. But this process helps me find more gratitude in the fact they're still in my life, even the ones in the grand beyond, like my parents, grandparents, my ancestors, they're still with me. And I say, most recently I've said, we're taking the woo-woo out of the box. We don't even need the box anymore, because we're all connected. Everything is connected. So that helps us find more gratitude in everything we've experienced in our life up to now, and what we have to look forward to in the future, all of the limitless possibilities. So again, this philosophy helps us appreciate nature and the spiral flow of life. Now it's based on the directions, elements, and time. I did this process a couple years ago where I went through my hard drive on my computer and I looked specifically to see in all of my writing, just across the board, what words did I use the most? And I even had numbers associated with those. So I found that the interesting thing was, and I put this out on Facebook at the time, was for folks to try to guess what my most used terms were, most used words, and nobody guessed what the word was, but it ended up being time. Time was the word that I, heads and tails above, well above all the other words, that I had numbers that were counted when I did the count of my hard drive. So it was really interesting, and a really interesting process to work through an analysis and get those stats, and then realize that I must think a lot about time, talk a lot about time, being on time or not having time to do certain things, or what time I'm going to do certain things. So yeah, very enlightening. Um, so again, spiral. I don't consider this new age or pagan, but it could be viewed that way because it aligns with nature and metaphysics. But I do consider it ancient. I do consider it natural, just like it's probably not always in our best interest as humans to try to control nature. Nature has a way of fighting back. Thinking now about how we've tried to control rivers in the past and how that's kind of came back to bite us sometimes. So we're working with the four directions. We're working with the north, the south, the west, and the east. And as we progress, we're going to add in the above, the below, the through, and around. After that, it's omnidirectional. It's omni everything and limitless. Again, this is expanding our consciousness. It's helping us to open space and allow airflow and allow time and ease and grace to work in our life, through our life, and for us. Okay, that was the call to begin. Oh, and I will mention too that in session one, I talked about the glass and how glass is liquid. Most of us don't think in those terms. I grew up near a glass factory. A lot of the kids that I went to school with, their parents and grandparents had started that particular glass factory and were still working in the factory. And it was very important to the little town that I grew up near. I grew up right outside the little town, so I was rural. But I always had such a fascination. I was always drawn to art and music anyway. And that particular glass factory called Fenton Art Glass, they hand painted, they had artists who hand painted little faces. If they had made a little glass animal, let's say, they would paint a face on it and so forth. They made jewelry eventually and things like that. They made lamps, vases, anything and everything for your home, really, a home decor type of situation, type of products. So glass has always fascinated me, and I played with marbles as a kid too because I was fascinated in glass. And at one point when I was with my husband, love of my life, better be like the last husband for me. He's my third, I'm his third. So he told me one day, well, glass is liquid. And I may have misspoken and said water in the last session, I'm not sure. But I did a little research on it after, and I found that science isn't really clear on that. It has to do with how fast the molecules move, and also the rate in which the liquid glass, because that's what I was thinking in my mind. Well, glass is liquid because when they've got it heated and it's flowing and they're forming it into products and such, it moves. I mean, it looks, imagine taffy if you've never seen glass making or glass blowing. And so at one state of existence, glass is liquid and flowing. But when it hardens, and depending on the rate of speed in which it hardens, it will become glass. And you can obviously we all know how glass behaves, right? It feels solid to us, and you could break it if you dropped it or hit it on a piece of tile or another piece of glass, let's say. So there's these glass windows, and this image I'm showing on the screen is of a door in, I believe this was in Scotland. And when we were there in 2019, I was drawn, of course, to all the spirals, and these were ripples, were more circular than spiral. But my husband pointed the glass out and said, "Look, it's thicker at the bottom." Well, if you Google that, there's some science that and some debate about this thing. Apparently people have talked about this for some time, that glass will continue to flow even though it feels hard, it looks hard, it looks solid, but that the liquid within it, the molecules and the constituents, are still somewhat settling or flowing. And I think they called it relaxation, that glass relaxes over the years. But they didn't even say that that's what made it thicker at the bottom. Someone put out the hypothesis that the glass was actually made that way so that it would stay in the windowsill. Maybe, I don't know. But the point of this is that I just wanted to say that, I'm not always right. I'm always learning still. I believe one of the best qualities that we can possess as we go through life is to be curious and to be fascinated with things and to always continue asking questions and learn. So sorry if anybody got stuck on that in session 1 and said, she's wrong, glass isn't liquid. So 2 schools of thought or more on anything. And then again, something else I kind of preach a lot in this course and others. So last time, session 1, we talked about things that we associate with the North. Those of you who watch Game of Thrones, I'm king of the North, there was that line that was pretty familiar to us watchers of the show Game of Thrones. And what things do you associate with the soil? And that the body is really referenced a lot when you think about soil because of how, especially in the Christian Judeo ethic of a body being created from the dust. So from the dust back to the dust. So the soil, there's a lot of correlation between soil and the body. The body comes up from the dirt. And I think also last time I pointed out that when you're out in the sun, you can look at your hand and see it looks like little grains of sand in the palm of your hand. So you can check that out sometime and see if there's that little sparkle. Because we're made of soil. We're made from the stuff of the earth. Some people say stardust. Well, at any rate, the correlation between soil and body, and how when you walk outside barefoot and you do grounding, or when you go to the ocean and you walk on the sand, you're getting your body in a state of resonance with the earth, with the heartbeat of the earth. And I won't go into all of the Schumann resonance and all of that, but there's a true scientific reason why when we're outside walking barefoot, we're grounding, we're earthing, and we are coming into harmony, I'll say it that way, with the earth. So it's very supportive. The earth, the ground, the soil is very supportive of the human body. And of course, when we pass on into another plane of existence with our spirit and soul, the body will go back to the earth in some form or fashion. So, but these are questions for you to think about. And again, this helps we want to open your thoughts, and we want to open them out, and we want to give our thoughts more and more space the more we follow this imaginary spiral map or path. And we talked about the winter too. What kinds of things do we associate with the winter? So the first lesson was, lesson 1 was about the planet. And then this was where we stopped with the South. So for today, We'll take you through a little meditation, just a very quick one. And I'll put into practice what we talked about last time at the end of session 1, where we pull out a little bit on the eyebrows. And while we're doing this, we can be thinking about just letting go of anything else we have to do, anywhere else we have to be, anything on our to-do list. We're releasing stress, we're releasing tension. And you may do that a few times, and then nice full breath in, and we'll come up the sides of our nose, the bridge of our nose, and up over the eyes with either very light pressure or moderate pressure as you might like. You can lay your head back, close your eyes. You can focus on one spot or a picture or a candle flame and just let your thoughts kind of pass through your mind like some thought you're noticing right now. You just put it on a white fluffy cloud and let it float on. You no need to control anything. And if coming up the nose and over the eyes isn't helpful for you, you can go the opposite way. That works as well too. And this will just calm your third eye, kind of this area in here. It will calm the fight or flight and let you take your breath in, feeling for the breath in your nose. You can even count if you like, or just follow my voice. Breathe in, hold for at least the count of 1 or 2, and then let the breath go. You can breathe out through your mouth or your nose, whichever is more comfortable. But just following your breath, and let any thoughts pass on through. No reason and no need to get stuck on any one thought right now. All right, just a quick little meditation. And I thought also it might be nice to start with a little EFT. And I have blog posts on this. If you're not familiar with it, it's called Emotional Freedom Technique. Again, it's just something to help our amygdala calm down in our brain, which is what controls the fight or flight response. Just helps us ground, get more centered, experience a little more calm and ease in our day, shall we? So just do one quick round because I'm not here to teach that right now. Even though I just came out of something very hectic for myself, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I felt a little rushed before I came into the session, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I sometimes feel harried before I come into a Zoom session, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. I'm here to serve. I'm here because I enjoy this. I enjoy these sessions. I enjoy sharing what I've learned. It helps me to continue to anchor it into my body. It helps me to continue to focus on what I've learned. It helps me to continue to integrate it into my body. And I'm very thankful and at ease. Very thankful to be here and have others joining with me. And I'll just finish that off. Just one quick round. Usually I'll do 3, but in the essence of time, you can massage or tap a point right in here, this part of the hand. Just help you seal that in. Already I feel maybe 10 to 20% more ease and calm. So what things do you think of when you hear the word South? What do you associate with the South? And they can be positive or negative, by the way. They can be heavy things or light things. And then what 3 ways can you connect with fire? I thought of cooking, bonfire, and the digestion in the belly. That's a fire, our metabolism. And of course, we can destroy things with fire. We don't want a piece of paper to ever be seen again. If we doubt shredding will work, burn it. What 3 methods could inform and inspire you to incorporate spirit into your body each day? Praying with your hands together, putting hands in mudra positions, and they're all different kinds of mudra positions. Kneeling, yoga, union of body spirit. And this is the week we're going to be looking back in that tote bin and seeing what things we're resonating with, the North and the South. As we get through these 4 directions, we're going to be wanting to maybe even just pull one of those things out of the box or out of the computer file that we can embrace again and start working with consistently. Big key. I was never good at consistency, and this has definitely helped in that regard. So yoga is a union of the body and the spirit. And what we were just doing, the breath work, breathing in, being conscious of our breath, conscious of our thoughts, that's spiritual. That's spiritual. Do you hold any intentions to strengthen your inner will or faith? You want to get stronger. You want to increase your faith. You want to activate your faith. You want to pray, believing that what you're praying about is going to manifest. So, or maybe it has something to do with your body. You want to experience bodily changes, such as when you're fasting. You want to, maybe you're fasting for spiritual benefits, or you're fasting for health benefits. Or you want to practice a walking meditation because maybe sitting and cross-legged or in some yoga posture, maybe that doesn't work for you. Maybe you love Qigong or Tai Chi. So maybe you're a kind of person. And when I first codified this, I thought it would be for us heady ones, us analysts, us people who are always in our mind, or creatives. We were always in our mind and we're always getting a ton of ideas. I would never have writer's block because I have too many ideas. I have ideas all the time. So for me, I really needed something to help me weed through those ideas and no, this doesn't, I wouldn't want to put this out into the world, kind of thing. And these are what I think people can celebrate, these ideas. So I want to grow these ideas, focus on those. And so it was the weeding process of the ideas that I would often find myself stuck in. So this deprogram really helps with that, because it again, I put it in a spiral map, and then I can see, okay, the stuff in the middle is really tight and really like chaotic, and I know I'm trying to explain this to you so that you will know, in case you don't know. So, but when it's really wound tight, it's like a knot of hair, or like a knot in your jewelry and your chain, or a rope. Think of a rope and how you make a knot in a rope. That's really tight. Well, that's what's at the center of that spiral, really tight. So what we want to do, the desire is to really loosen that up again, so that we can create more space, which gives us more ease and more grace when we have more space. We want, when we meditate, space between thoughts. It's one of the points to meditating is to grow the space between our thoughts and become aware of our thoughts. So thoughts are always happening all at once and they're bound up real tight. Well, yeah, it's hard to know what you're thinking of. It's hard to know what you're thinking. How will you ever control your thoughts? And of course, if you don't control your thoughts, you're not controlling your actions. You know, everything starts with the thought. So I'm using that as an example to show you how when everything's in a knot, yes, it's strong, and yes, it can hold things tight, but it's not as gentle and as effective at letting go and clearing out old unwanted things and bringing in new things. That's where the spiral really helps, and opening up that space really helps. So you put everything in the middle and it's all a jumble and it's all chaotic, and then what you start doing is asking yourself with each selection of that, out of that stack of note cards or any design elements that you have, you start pulling things out, yes or no, yes or no, and you start placing them in that spiral pattern. And you'll see, after you do it a couple of times, you'll start to see, oh, I get it. When we calm down, we take our time, we add in space and breath and awareness and focus and asking ourselves with each element or each note card or each thought or each, you know, XYZ, whatever it is that you're working with, you ask yourself, is this for me or against me? Does this make me feel tighter, more wound up, more nervous, more stressed? Or am I finding more ease, more calm, more peace, less judgment? There's a lot of stuff that we get all wound up about and wrapped up about in, and it's none of our business. And the world's not going to change if we continue to focus on that, you know? So again, this process is helping us to let go of things that we don't need to control. In fact, it's just helping us let go of the need to control, the need to feel like we want to control. And the less we feel we need to control, the much easier our life becomes. And I think, my opinion is that we become happier people and we can give a lot more because we're coming from this place of limitless abundance. We're not caught up in having to control this against this and a constant war and battle going on, a constant trying to rip what's wound tight up, rip the knot apart. You know, when we rip something that's knotted, it tears and it hurts and it's harsh. But as we just work it a little bit and just give it more space and more time and more space and more time, and we unwind, the easier it becomes. So here's one of our first lessons. This is a kaleidoscope. This is a fancy one that I bought several years ago online. But what I do when I'm stressed or when I'm trying to make a decision and I kind of feel knotted up, I can, and I don't even have to put it toward the window, but I can just look through this kaleidoscope. I could look at you. And I'll see if you see anything through here. Yeah, I guess you can see a little bit. Ah, there it is. And then as we turn it, whoop, and you know what? With every turn, you're never going to see the same pattern again. That's the only time it's going to be seen. It's always different. And so I love that because that, for me, it helps me think, well, what I wrote here was every beautiful pattern is created from broken pieces. Everything here in this part of the kaleidoscope, it's a broken piece. The pattern changes with every turn, never to be seen the same way again. I see brighter colors as more light shines in. When I do put it to the window, I catch the sun at the right angle. And like the kaleidoscope, our lives create an intricate design, a rich and vibrant tapestry. We can view situations objectively by allowing big picture and myriad explanations. We are all connected. So again, this tapestry and our thoughts coming together in appreciation and understanding this pattern and tapestry and weave of life versus everything's knotted up and frustrating and chaotic and aggravating and irritating and harsh and blame and all of that is just like really, it's really rough, and it's really hard, and it makes living life hard, and it tenses people up, and then they go out and they have road rage, or they're nasty to the clerk at the office or the grocery store or the professional office or whatever, whomever you're dealing with. In every interaction, there's the possibility that if you change the way you look at that situation, you will behave differently. So when we go, for some reason, I had to hit the button twice. When we go to the West and we're looking at the West, and later on in our time together, I will show you what I do. You don't have to do what I do, but I'll show you what I do to honor the directions. When I look to the West and when I bow to the West, what I'm thinking is about the people and the places and the sacred sites that I associate with the West. I do that for every direction. But in particular, I live in Florida. So when I'm looking to the West, I'm thinking about my Native American ancestors and my friends that live in New Mexico and Arizona. I'm thinking of the specific tribes. I'm thinking about how they dress, how they dance, how they play music, how they sing, when I'll see them again, all those kinds of thoughts. What do you think about? What do you correlate and associate with the West? Could be the Western United States, or it could be another country. West is relative to wherever you are, as with all of these directions. So, and then what 3 ways can you connect with water? When I was putting this together and codifying it, that's just how it worked out for me to put these elements together with the directions. Again, it's directions, elements, and then time or time frame. So with the West, I associated water and our soul, because our soul waters the inside of our body. Get into that in a moment. And spring as a time of watering. Spring is usually associated with rain and watering of nature and plants and trees and flowers and all of that. So what 3 methods might help you reach into your soul? Music, dance, movement. I write a lot, teach a lot about God bumps, how it's a sensation that I feel in my body. That's my soul saying yes to something or no. And I've only learned that recently. So speaking of the soul, does your soul direct your path? I have a friend who uses his God bumps to direct his path, to know what he's going to do next. Some people will talk about butterflies. If they get the feeling of butterflies in the tummy, that's when they know like they're in love, or something's just fantastic and they're going to run with it. And so what are your indicators? I've spoken to you a moment ago about mine are God bumps. So if I feel these God bumps, which is this effervescencing, this bubbling inside, I think it's an oxygenation of the blood, but I'm not really sure. It's just a really cool feeling. And it's not a feeling I can control, by the way. This is something that just happens involuntary within my body. It's not like seeing goosebumps where you see on your flesh, though I'm sure that's an indicator as well. And I used to get goosebumps before I recognized I was getting God bumps or angel bumps or truth bumps. Some people call them different things, but it's internal. It's an internal fluttering or an internal sensation. So if it's below the waist when I feel those, it is a yes for me. I'm it's amazing. I'm like a human tuning fork. If it's above the waist, like I feel them in my arms, that means I'm holding on to something. And the answer is a no. I'm trying to hold on. I'm trying really hard. We're back to hard again. Notice like that wound tight in the center of the spiral where hardly no light even gets through because it looks like a little dot in the middle. You can't even see the spiral path because it's that solid. It's a dot, right? So that hardness, and I think now you're seeing why I was saying that correlation between glass too being hard, being liquid, how there's still movement within the molecules, even though it appears hard and solid. Yeah. So that dot in the center of the spiral appears hard, solid, black, no light coming in, but it's still part of the spiral. It's just wound really tight. So maybe your indications of your soul, maybe you didn't even know you had a soul. Well, if you did, though, maybe the indications of that are that when you're really passionate about something, when you're really joyful, when you're in love, when you're laughing at a great movie or a great joke. What are your strong emotions? And then I'll jump back. So when we think about water, our body, the human body, 70% more or less water. So what you drink and how pure it is and what's mixed in your food. Let's say you're eating soup that has water in it. So you're continuing to water your body even while you're eating, bathing, and your skin is not solid, it's porous, right? So your skin is absorbing water. It's also absorbing other stuff that you're putting on it, but that's in the health book. Have yourself a wholly vibrant life, reversing asthma and other chronic illness naturally. That's the book, my second edition that I just put out recently. So I got to give myself a plug for that, right? So I want you to think about what are you drinking, how pure it is, what you're mixing in with your food, what you're bathing in, if you're sitting in a sauna, if you're taking the ice bucket challenge, you're taking the ice plunge, or taking cold showers, sweating, pee, urine, watering plants, dancing in the brain. How do you connect with water? And how much do you like that? Some people and creatures, I think of a cat. Cats usually don't like getting a bath, right? So maybe you're like a cat and you hate taking a bath or you hate swimming. It's just not your thing. You would never water ski, you would never surf. Or you're the opposite, you love water. You're a water baby. You're in the pool every chance you get. You're in the ocean every chance you get, a lake, hot springs, any of that. Okay, so just think about that. And see if this resonates for you. Do you associate water with soul, with spring? You may not with the West, but maybe if you looked at your directions, see which direction seems to nurture you and into accepting more water into your life. I struggled for years not drinking enough water, and the predominant thought in health is that you should drink 6 to 8 to 10 8-ounce glasses of water a day. And there's all different kinds of rules around that. Like if you eat a lot of raw vegetables, you probably don't need that many glasses of water because you're getting a lot more water in your vegetable. Or what I said a moment ago too about the soup. So if you eat a lot of soup, you know, you may not need to drink as much glasses of water. But I always keep something with me. This one keeps my water quite cold. It's called Owala, Owola, I believe is what it is. I love it. Keep something fun near you, a fun glass or mug or bottle like that to get all your water in. And think about yourself as a plant. You would water your plants. And of course, all different kinds of plants require different amounts of water. I have a Christmas cactus that almost doesn't need any water. Like once a month, I put this much water in the bottom of the little plastic tub, and then the whole pot of the plant sits in that, and it waters it from the bottom. It doesn't like water from the top. Another thing that I learned, thank you, sister-in-law. I never knew that. And I killed a lot of succulents this last year because I was misting them, thinking I was doing them so much good. And thinking for the first few weeks, they were so happy. They all died except 2. I had 10. I started with 10 or 12. They all died, but 2. I was overwatering them. They're more like desert plants. I didn't realize they were closer to the cacti family than I thought. So you know, they get water once a week or once a month. They just hardly require no water at all. In fact, one of my relatives told me set them outside on near lanai and never water them. So I checked like a month ago and gave them a little bit of water, but yeah, they're getting the water, whatever they need from the humidity, especially in Florida. Never need to water them. So feed your soul. As water flows down the drain in a spiral fashion, so does your blood flow in your arteries and veins in your body in a spiral. I thought that was so fascinating. What 3 ways can you feel your soul? As I mentioned, the God bumps, singing, speaking. Some people, they have this beautiful vibrato when they sing. It's kind of you know, you hear that, love that. Not everybody sings the same way, so in my mind that's a gift, but I think you can also learn that. You can add vibrato in. Using your hands. Feeling your soul, dancing, laughing, enjoying, being in joy. Listening to music, feeling lit up when engaged with others in your most authentic way. What 3 ways might your relationships improve the more you connect with your soul? Loving, being kind, performing random acts of kindness, communicating more with passion and empathy, active listening too. If not from your soul, from where do you think your passions come? Do you think it's just what you're interested in? All right. And we'll end with this today. I think the lesson is the stick. Yeah. And then next time we'll talk about the east. So think about a stick. I don't have one, or something I could use maybe as a stick. I have a feather. I'll use the feather. But imagine this was a stick. It's got 2 ends. I guess that's the important thing. So there is this stick. When you hold it in the middle, it's balanced. Okay. When either end shakes, which is adding more vibration to it, if I wiggle it like that, it creates something on either and both ends. I mean, it's really kind of hard to just do one end, right? Both ends are going to move. As soon as I start moving this end, Notice what happens to the other end. A little unbalanced vibration from the middle and the ends shake, which is what I'm doing now, and create more and larger ripples, like really do a lot, big shaking going on. So everything is vibration. You just may not see it. Even when I'm holding it as perfectly still as I can, there's still a bit of vibration going on there. And every molecule is in motion. Emotions are simply energy in motion. And my point with this lesson was really that if I'm judging somebody or something, someone's actions, let's say, and I'm pointing that stick at them, what's happening to the other end is coming right back at me. And some might call this what comes around goes around, or karma. But it really is, to me, again, that yin and yang, because if I am blowing up the big black dark portion of the yin and yang symbol, and imagine that yin and yang as a 3D, 4D, 5D, not just a 2D drawing on a piece of paper. Imagine that yin and yang, the black side getting bigger, the white side is shrinking. Or if the white side's getting bigger, the black side is shrinking. But the yin and yang always works to balance itself, to equalize itself. It's imagine if it was a balloon or a ball that was filled with gel, it's always going to be equalizing itself. So dark light, dark light, dark light, breathing and moving and pulsating, that yin and yang, always in motion, always trying to balance. And so I say the lesson from that for me is that I am to always be balancing. I put the ing at the end of it. I'm not seeking I'm not seeking balance in my day or in my life. I'm balancing. It's always an ing, because why? Because I'm a being. I'm a being. I'm always being. My heart is always beating. My breath is always breathing in and out. I'm a being. And I see the yin and yang symbol the same way. That symbol is beating and breathing and pulsating, and it's balancing all the time, which means we're always integrating all the time. We're always letting go of something too. But when we're bringing in, when we're wanting to accept, when we're wanting to acknowledge, when we're wanting to allow, when we're wanting to create, we're integrating everything. We're integrating because we're choosing. We're choosing, this is helpful to me in this moment. This is not helpful. With an upcoming move, what we're planning right now, I say at least once a day, probably multiple times a day, I say we're going where we're going to be celebrated, where we're celebrating life every day, not where we're tolerated. I don't want to be in this situation where everybody's just tolerating. Been there, done that. I want to go where we're celebrating. I want to go where people are accepting and people are enjoying life, laughing, loving, appreciating. I put that out there. And I know that in my life, at least what I've been shown to this point, is that nothing's perfect. And that's okay, because I've come to acknowledge that nobody, no thing is perfect. And I let go of perfection a long time ago. I don't even like to use the word perfect. So I love words like enjoy, though. And I love words like appreciation and acceptance and allowing, because I believe in choice. I believe everything is a choice. And when you don't have a choice, that's when I feel constricted. And that's when I feel the chaos and the tightness of that dot in the center of the spiral that has no air and has no room to breathe and grow and be. With that, much love, and I'll see you in session 3. Bye-bye.